Hello everybody, and my name is Sebastian Viteri. Today I wanted to show you guys how to cook a classic Ecuadorian dish that my mom used to cook for me when I was a child all the time. Here you're going to see the ingredients. I already pre-diced the tomatoes and onions. You got beef. I like to use thinly cut beef. Typically this is a sirloin round steak. You have your condiments. I use cumin, pepper, some sea salt, and a little thyme and butter for the steak. You also cook some sides with this. I already started here with some rice, and for a little flavoring you add some, and color, you add some sazon goya, which is something that many Hispanics use in the kitchen. And so you start off with first seasoning your steak. Typically pepper and salt is perfect. I always grew up with my mother using some cumin, so I like to incorporate that into mine as well. So once you season all three sides generously, rub it down on each side, flip, and continue the process. As you can see, this can be a messy process, so at the end I usually like to wipe my spices down with water to make sure everything stays clean. So now you see this fully seasoned, and I have pre-warmed the oven, and I usually use a pan. So we take a little bit of the olive oil, or in this case vegetable oil. Let that heat up a little bit, and we begin to cook our steak. And here we can see it's fairly thin, so it cooks pretty quick. I always like to wash your hands and make sure your area is clean when you cook. So you always want to be hands-on and watch your food while you cook it. Make sure everything cooks evenly and properly. So I first like to give it a little bit of time to cook through on one side. This is usually a pretty quick process. Next, I like to add a little bit of butter, some crushed garlic cloves, and later on we're going to add a little bit of thyme. You do need a spoon to braise the liquid, and braising is basically just covering the steak or whatever you're cooking with the juices, and this keeps the meat moist while you cook. As you can see, it bubbles up a little bit, so you want to kind of push down. As you can see, it's fairly quick. At this point, I like to put in the thyme. This adds a little bit of aroma and flavor to the meat. Like I said, continue basting as it cooks. We'll give it a little bit more time on here. I like to check the size. Usually when there's enough coloring, that's a good sign to know. This one's fairly small, so it's already done. And then you set it to the side. Next, you have to remove some of these thyme leaves. And you begin to cook your onions. First, turn up the heat a little bit. And we begin to saute our onions. Again, making sure everything cooks evenly through. I like to put a little bit more salt and pepper into this. And once our onions are a little bit cooked, you add your tomatoes. As you can see, this makes the pan pretty full. So I like to set something on top of it to kind of let it cook under some pressure. By this point, we can see that everything's pretty much cooked together. And I like to add a little bit of chicken broth for a little bit of flavoring. Not too much. As you can see, because there's already a decent amount of liquid. Next, we take our meat and just let it cook in it. And again, letting it sit and rest to let it cook in all the juices until it's cooked. Like I said, it's a thin meat, so it doesn't really typically take too long to cook. Okay. So now we see everything's pretty much fully cooked through and cooked in the juices. So now we sit there and let it rest. So now that the rest is all cooked, you move it around a little bit. And you begin to plate it. Here. Now we move on to our steak. Pour some of the juices on there. So at this point, we add what my mom made this dish special to me. And that is a fried egg. Good. So once your oil is nice and hot, we crack our eggs. And I let it sit. Okay. So now that our eggs are done, around, and we top it. Make sure everything's up. So here is our finished product. This is a dish that I loved to eat when I was a kid, and many families around Ecuador eat as well, with different variations, different kinds of sides. I've always kept it simple and kept it with rice, and that is my dish, carne asada. Thank you very much. Here is the final product, the Bistec Asado. And like I said, I like to use rice. Many other families in Ecuador like to use different other dishes, different other sides. But this is a classic dish that reminds me of my childhood and some of the things that my mother used to cook for me. Thank you very much and have a good day.